my beautiful mer people, and I'm finally filming my second weekly sushi, even though it's weeks apart. I am so sorry about that. I kept meaning to film, but I lapsed into a pain coma right before me and Patrick, we just got back from going to vacation. We went to Catalina Island and it was gorgeous. Of course I vlogged it. Vlogs are coming. Instagram pics are coming. So I have that info down there if you want to follow me, you know. Hit the subscribe, you know. I got lots of cool vlogs coming. And I do weekly videos like this, or attempt to. I don't know, you guys. I'm just... And then I figured today I gotta film this tonight, because if I don't, I'm never gonna do this. And I think part of, you know, like all these other things coming up, like lapsing into my pain coma, and then we went on vacation, and I was, you know, vlogging that, everything was just also kind of good excuses to just put this video off. Because it's one subject that I really don't like talking about, but I'm gonna do it because I think it's gonna be good for me. And it is a big part of who I am as a person, so I want you guys to know that, because you're my mer people. I took notes for this. I know. This is probably going to be a two-part, because there's so many aspects to this, but basically, and if you guys didn't watch my first weekly sushi, I'm going to link that below and watch that, because it kind of goes along with this, you know, about what I'm going to talk about today. And part of what I talked about last time on my weekly, I was going to say last week, and I'm like, no, Keisha, that's not last week, that's a couple weeks ago. Okay. I talked about that I had filed a lawsuit against a store. Now, I'm not going to tell you what store it was, what company this is, because doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are. It matters what they did. And it just, and you know, with people throwing around lawsuits, this will also explain a lot about my feelings about lawsuits and how people just love to throw, oh, I'm gonna sue you, or you get on YouTube and people are like, cease and desist and I'll sue you. And I just think, like, it doesn't work like that at all. At all. It does not work like that. It's not that easy. It doesn't work that way. And you can end up being screwed in the end. Which you'll hear. Which you heard in my first video. I put that little clip in. So, okay. I'm just going to get into it. We're going to do this. And, yeah. Can you tell I'm like shaking? Because this is really like a hard subject for me. So yeah, we're gonna do this. I got notes. Okay. Raw, unedited. Let's do this. Okay. Clear my throat here for you guys. Okay. So my chronic pain, everything that is wrong with me today, my chronic pain, the GI problems, all stem from this slip and fall accident. And what it was is I was in between my nursing semesters, and I was on break, and my mom had recently, that was another aspect that just made this like all this shit just happened at once. But she had gotten laid off, and I was going to be going back to school soon, and you know, she had unemployment and stuff. So I was feeling like, okay, I have 1 year left of nursing school. It's going to be okay. I got all this scholarship money coming. We're going to be okay. So I was on break, and my mom wasn't working, so we needed to get some stuff. So we went to the store, and I'll just skip it, but we were in the store, and we walked down this aisle where there was a water dispenser, and water had leaked from the water dispenser onto the floor. And because of where this dispenser was. It was positioned at an end of an aisle on a blind corner. So you didn't know it was there until you got past it. So we got past it. I fell. I started to do the splits. I tried to save myself because it would have been a bad splits. And I fell right back onto my tailbone. And because it was water, slipped. It was a hard and fast slip. It wasn't like one of those where you see yourself falling in the motion and you can catch yourself. I remember flailing my arms out for anything, and then I was on the floor and it felt like a bomb had gone off in my back. And I couldn't move, and it was super painful. My mom had a really hard time getting an employee in the store to help us. They didn't really want to give us help. And my mom had to beg them to call 911 for me because I couldn't move. And the whole store incident and what went down after I fell down is a whole probably video in itself. But basically I fell and I had to be transported by an ambulance because I couldn't walk. It was that painful. And any of you who have had an accident like that, or hurt your back like that, you understand exactly the pain. And I had never experienced anything like that before, where I had been hurt so badly I couldn't get up from it or shake myself from it. So it was very, that was scary in itself. And I was going to be going back to my third semester of nursing and nursing school. I was in school to be a registered nurse, and I was going to be going back to school. And I remember after this, after they released us from the hospital, and going home and thinking, oh my God, this is really bad. And it didn't get better the next day, and I had to go to a doctor's, and because I was a student and college student and stuff. I didn't have a regular family doctor, and I had to get a new one. And since she didn't really know me and been seeing me, it took her a while to realize that this was really a bad thing. But you know, she ordered x-rays, and the MRI came back and showed that I had the herniated L5S1. But the week after that was horrible. And I was already having this doctor telling me, you need to put school on hold. This is bad. And I saw her a couple times. And she started with this recommendation that I need to start thinking about if nursing is what I want to do. Because with the back injury, she wouldn't recommend someone like me being a nurse. Now that came after, like, I got the herniated, like, after she diagnosed me with the herniated disc, the MRI, that's when she started telling me that. But before then, she was telling me I just needed to defer school. Which I was scared it was going to mess up my scholarships. Because at that point, like I've said in other videos, I had my nursing school paid for, and then some. I was going to have leftover money, and me and Patrick were thinking we were going to be able to start a family with that, and a life together. So, within that first week, a lot happened. I had my doctor telling me I needed to defer school. I couldn't walk. I couldn't even get in the shower to bathe myself. And I start thinking, what if this is really, really bad? What if this deferral turns into not being able to go back to school? Because one thing that was always preached to us in nursing school, and even back when I did my emergency medical technician training, was that you need to make sure that when you move patients and you bend over and you do things and you reach and stuff, that you're doing it properly. Because if you mess up your back, that's it. Nurses can't work on opiates and prescription meds. And I know that there's probably some out there, but they're not supposed to. Because if you then make a mistake on that medication, that's your fault. And then it can become manslaughter. So I was always told, make sure that you move the patients properly. Get help. Because if you mess up your back, that is it. You were done. And that's what happened. I slipped and fell and I hurt my back. And I was done. So I start thinking, crap. This is everything I have worked for. And let me tell you, I was one of those kids that knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. I wanted to be a nurse. Somehow, I wanted to be a nurse as a kid. I don't know why, but when I saw the nurse taking care of the person who was sick, I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be that rock for someone who was in the hospital and having a shitty time, and I helped them get through that by being nice and kind and helping take care of them and helping them heal. So I found an attorney, and it was actually someone who was recommended, and he advised me that I should have him retain him to help me deal with this store, because that they should be held responsible. And by this time, I had them calling my house a couple times a day, asking me to call them back and talk to them about the incident. I'm not stupid. I know that that stuff's recorded, and my back, I wasn't feeling good. I couldn't walk, you guys. I was walking hunched over and waddling. It was so bad. And I'm just thinking, oh my God. What if this is it? And they're calling the house and they want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to them right now. And I just thought the smart decision was to go and talk to an attorney, and this was the advice I was given by this attorney. And so immediately they sent like a letter to talk to them. The company who, this company has a department. This is how much they are sued. They have their own little department. They have a department to deal with this stuff. Their legal department. Their legal department immediately sent a letter saying, no, we're not responsible. This isn't our responsibility. Your client was careless. This is their responsibility, not ours. Even though it was water that came from a machine that they had put on an aisle. And let me tell you, it was one of those dispensers, guys, that you take your jug to and you fill it up. Generally, I don't know about you guys, but this was the first time I had ever seen a store put one of these dispensers in an aisle in the middle of the store. I've seen them on the outside of the store. Sometimes I've seen them like, you know, like by the entrance, you know, but never in the middle of the store. And the other thing too, which is the other why this machine malfunctioned, was because this machine had been moved, I believe it was a week prior. I don't remember, because I don't, like, as I get into the lawsuit stuff, like, I had all kinds of documentation, but anyways, they had remodeled the store. So this machine had been moved, like, within the, like, a week or two before I fell in their store. This machine had been moved. So it used to be somewhere else. But 2 weeks prior to me falling from water coming out of the water dispenser, it was somewhere else. Yeah. We'll get into that stuff later, though. We will get into that later. Okay, sorry. This is why I got notes. Sorry, you guys. My camera does something where it'll shut off after so many times of running, and I'm like, what? I gotta figure that setting out. But anyways, I got my notes. This is hard. I'm sorry, this is hard. So, I filed this lawsuit. And within months, I found out that I was gonna have to say goodbye to nursing school and drop out. Completely. I had already dropped out and signed papers to defer it, but I had to write back and tell them that I wasn't coming back. I had to write the scholarship committees that had given me the money to finish the nursing program and to start a life. I had to notify them. And the only thing people could say to me was, well, I hope you can get better because nursing is a great career. That it's really good and you can reapply here later. But I hope you can get better. And for a while, a lot of people told me that too. I hope you can get better because nursing is great. And every time I got told that, I'd die inside a little bit because I knew it wasn't going to get better and I wasn't going to get to that. I wasn't going to be a nurse. And it was real hard. So as time went on, the original attorney I had moved and decided he wanted to switch careers and not be a personal injury attorney. Probably because it's not easy to be a personal injury attorney. Like, a lot of people think that, like, oh, you sue this company and you get millions of dollars. It doesn't work like that. It is actually a really hard gig to be a personal injury attorney. And a lot of them don't do that 100% of the time. They do multiple things and will have like maybe 1 or 2 personal injury cases that they think they might be able to get settled out. But for the most part, it's not easy. Now, if a car accident's different, apparently. I learned that during this whole thing, but I guess car companies are different. And because of the way the insurance is set up, they'll just pay out the, you know, what the thing was, and usually the attorney will advise the person who's suing that this is good. It's different. It's just different. And then workers' comp is different too. Personal injury, especially when it's like with me, is different. The other thing that sucked about this whole thing is that the lawsuit was the only way I could get any kind of justice. There was no regulations or fines or anything this company gets for having customers get hurt in their store. Now, if an employee gets hurt in their store, there's a write-up and things like that. But if a customer gets hurt in their store, it's settled privately on the side. And if that company's bigger than this other person, they can just say, fuck you. So that was my only recourse. And after having to lose my dream career, eventually realized I wasn't going to be able to have kids, and that my back was going to probably need surgery if I was ever going to have a chance of having a life. I was going to need some money to do that, and I figured because they took my potential career from me that would have made me money that I had worked for, and scholarship money that I was awarded, I thought they needed to be financially held responsible for that, because they decided to move a water dispenser in their store to a location, and it was on a soda aisle, you guys. That I'll get into later, but so that they could make more money. So when people went to go fill up their water jugs, they would see a Coke or Gatorade and think, I'm gonna give me some of that while I fill up my jug. You know, can you tell I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, especially when pain days are really bad like it is today. And I almost didn't make this video because of the clouds and the crap, but I run through everything that has happened. Everything. And I think about everything that has been taken from me, you guys. And I relive it all over again. When I see a commercial for this company, or a radio thing, or we drive past one of their trucks or their stores, and let me tell you, they're big. There's a lot of them. I run through everything that has happened since I fell in that store, and I relive it all over again. And it feels like a piece of me dies again when I realize that something that I held on to for so long was gone. So, back to notes. This is going to be a long video. You're going to need a snack. If you need to pause it to get one, go for it. If you don't need one, keep playing. I don't know. Whatever you need to do. Okay. So I had to switch attorneys. And I ended up with this other one because this is when I found out how hard it is to get attorneys to take personal injury cases. And I finally found one to do it. And when my trial went bad, and this guy got really shitty and wasn't doing work, and was having me do most of the work and everything, and then not following up on things himself, or just not getting the right documentations for the court, or showing up to court late, or talking down to the judge and almost getting himself thrown out of court, I realized why. He was the only one that took this case. Because he's an idiot. So, I had a deposition. So, as this whole thing is going on, months go by, a year goes by, and court cases take a long time. So, it was years. Like, I fell in 2011, and it wasn't till 2014 that I had the court trial. So, a year went by and I had what is called a deposition, where you sit there and their counsel gets to ask me a bunch of questions. My counsel asks me questions, and they can then depose like doctors or other people that are a part of the case or whatever. I had that went okay. We had a mediation, and this company didn't want to settle at all. They're notorious for that. And if they do settle, they'll send you out like a really shitty offer that wouldn't even cover legal costs or medical costs or gas money. That's what they do, which is... Anyways, the mediation, so we were on our way to trial, right? Right after mediation, I have this strange incident happen where a man came to my house. And we were living at a house. This is the other thing. During the lawsuit, we were living in, because my mom wasn't working, we had to move. And so we moved to this house that my aunt and uncle used to live in that was in foreclosure. And we basically squatted in this house from 2011 to, I think we moved out in 2015. We were really lucky that we were able to stay in that house as long as we did. I don't know how that worked out. I don't know how that happened. I don't know why. But the fact that we were able to stay in this house as long as we were was such a blessing, because it was the only way we were able to afford my medical bills or to pay for medications or procedures or stuff like that. My mom was eventually able to get a job, but it wasn't enough. And Patrick moved in with us too to help out with me because I needed help doing things, and it was a lot for my mom to do. And, you know, I can't do most daily activities. Laundry, I can barely do laundry. Sometimes I can't get out of bed. Cooking, what's that? So, and we lived in this house. So we're living in this house during the time this lawsuit's going on, and a man comes to the door. Now, in this house, because, you know, it was a foreclosure and things like that, I didn't answer the door. Plus, most of the time, to be honest, I can't make it to the door. Most of the time, while we lived there, I would be asleep and the doorbell would ring, and by the time I realized what was going on, they were gone. So I went to the door and I looked through the peephole, and he was still standing there, and I was like, I don't know who this is, so I'm not answering the door. And we had a security screen on too, but I could still tell it was a man through the peephole with the security door over it. So I just went back into my room. Well, I peeked out the door and I noticed his car was still in our driveway, but he wasn't in his car. I don't know where he went. Well, at the time I didn't know where he went, but I later found out from a neighbor that he had gone over to our neighbor's house. A couple of our neighbors rang their doorbells to ask about the people who lived in the house. Okay. So I noticed his car is still in there, and I'm like, why is this car there? Where's this person? And it kind of started to freak me out. He came back to the house and he knocked on the door again. And this is when I was like, I don't know who this is. Why is this car there? And then he took off. So I contacted my mom. I called my mom. I know, like, I called my mom because I figured, well, maybe she knows, maybe this is someone my aunt and uncle knew or something. Maybe she'll be like, oh, that's so-and-so. He's dropping something. I don't know. She didn't know who he was, and I go, and he left his car in our driveway. It's weird. And he comes back and he's ringing the doorbell. And I'm like, that is weird. Now, we had a house phone at the time. Right now, we don't. But at the time, we had a house phone because, you know, it came in the bundle, right? It came in the bundle. Sorry, you guys. I'm sitting on, like, a padded thing here on the bathroom floor. It's usually really comfortable, but I like stretching and stuff. Oh, but anyways, So he comes to the door. And I'm like, and while I'm on the phone with my mom, our house phone starts ringing. And I notice he's on the phone with somebody. And I'm pretty sure it's my house phone he's calling. And that's when I start getting really nervous, because it's like, who the fuck is this? And he leaves. My mom's like, you know, it's probably just like such and such. They probably got the phone number off the internet, and it's probably like a realtor. They want to like try to, because we used to get realtors. We'd get realtors coming in the door too about like how they could save the foreclosure. And we're like, this isn't our house. They don't live here anymore. But anyways. So, I'm on the phone with my mom, and I get off the phone with her. I'm in the house. And I can hear the gate on the side of the house. Sorry, that's the toilet, but I can hear him like he's gonna go through our backyard. And I'm thinking, oh my god. Like, I don't know if this is a realtor. And I get back on the phone with my mom and I go, this guy is like really looking around. He's looking in our backyard. And he comes back to the door. My mom goes, just answer the door. You have the security screen there, and I'm on the phone with you. Just go and answer it. He's not even going to be able to see you because of the security door. It's probably just a realtor. So I open the door. And I, you know, hello. Oh, I didn't know anybody lived here. Thought it was empty or something. We're the people that live here. I'm looking for someone who's and he starts to tell me, I had to write this down, because it was just like the biggest bullshit story. Like, oh my god. He tells me that he's a baseball scout for the Padres in San Diego. And he's out scouting someone. And he's trying to get in contact with the people that live next door so that he can scout their son. What? I automatically assumed this was someone looking for my aunt and my uncle. And I didn't want to tell them their names or anything. And he said, I'm trying to get a hold of the people that own this house or whatever. You know, because I'm trying to get a hold of, like, their neighbors because I'm going to scout somebody they know or something. And I go, well, they don't live here anymore. But if you give me your name and your number, I can let you, I can give it to them to contact you. Because it was fucking crazy. I'm not giving him my stuff, and he's already at my house, where I live. He was already poking around. Parking in my driveway. Well, it wasn't really my driveway either, because, you know, it was my aunt and uncle's house. I was in foreclosure, but... So he gives me his name and his number, and he starts getting snippy with me. And he goes, well, what's your name? And I go, I'm not going to tell you my name. You're at my house. Well, I don't even see you or everything. And that's when I told him, you need to leave. Or I'm going to call 911. And he left. And I was on the phone the entire time with my mom. And she thought it was weird too. But she told me, you know, maybe this is just like the realtor or the bank trying to find somebody, you know, because the house is in foreclosure and this is what this bullshit. And we just thought, the whole week though, both me and my mom, it didn't settle with us right. And we checked the number, and the number actually wasn't a real number. We got someone else who said they didn't know who he was. And we were able to look him up though. Thank you, Facebook. We looked this guy up. We were able to see that he was living in San Diego. He was not a baseball scout. And it was just, I'm not going to tell you anything other than that, but, and in it, he alluded to the fact that he investigated people, or he did stakeouts, or like police work. And so we started kind of putting two and two together, and we're like, maybe this guy was a private detective. But, you know, it could have been the foreclosure company or whatever. So it was something that I thought about, but I didn't think like, oh, they're gonna send a private to follow me. I don't go anywhere. I just sit at the house. They're gonna sit in front of the house. Well, a couple days later, we found out for sure this was a private investigator. Me and Patrick at the time were helping out with this pet adoption. Basically, I couldn't really do anything, but I'd go sit there on Saturdays for like 2 hours while they did adoptions, and Patrick would help them like move shit and stuff and do those things, but I would like just hang out and pet the kitties and stuff. And it was one of the things that I was trying to do to help make myself feel better and useful, because I like feeling helpful, and you know, animals, and just it helps. So he followed us to pet adoptions, and when I saw him, and I remember seeing him in the store and immediately recognizing him from the week prior. And when he realized that I knew who he was, he took off. We called 911, and I made a police report because I didn't know for sure who he was. And police were like, well, we can't really do anything. He took off, you know. And we looked at the surveillance. They took the surveillance from the pet store we were doing the adoptions in that day, because he came into that store. And he's like, you know, we don't know, and you didn't get like a license plate number or anything, so. But I got my shitty attorney to contact the opposing counsel, because we had that hunch that maybe it was because this guy, when he was in the store, he had headphones on, and he had his like cell phone, like his iPhone out like this, like. So we were pretty sure he was filming me and trying to catch me doing something so they could use it in court, or to disprove or dismiss this case. And you know, later I was able to get on his Facebook and pretty much realize, yeah, this is a private investigator. Not too long after that, me and Patrick went to Costco, and it was like a week or two after this man showed up, and we were just like joking. I wonder if they're still sending out a cop or a private investigator to follow us around. We were in Costco, and I was in one of the motor carts in Costco, and so I'm like, hey Patrick, let's go down this random aisle up here, and then we'll turn around and set this random aisle. It was like an appliance aisle, so there was nobody on it. And we'll see, like, we'll know. The first person who comes down this aisle will know that they're a private investigator, like a joke, funny, like, right? You know? Because we just thought, well, it's just the one guy. And once he realized we knew he was there, he was gone, and they would be done with it. Especially since my attorney had emailed them, and they were like, well, if we have a private investigator following her, you know, it's not meant to threaten or scare her, and that, you know, if you feel threatened, call 911, which I did, duh. I thought they would be done. So we go down the end of the Costco appliance aisle, and we park. A man comes around with an empty cart, and he's wearing a button-up shirt, and he's got a phone pointed forward like this, recording, because You could see the light. He immediately realized what we did and turned around. And we parked in one of the aisles at the end and watched him kind of walk around the store for a little bit and then leave. That's when I was scared. I didn't like being in my own house. I didn't know where these people were. There was another time after that where we were going to go pick up, we were going to go get something. I think it was medications or whatever. And I'm like, hey Patrick, when we go into the drugstore right here, let's not go to the pharmacy. Let's go down the tampon aisle and stand in front of feminine care items and see if anybody follows us down there in it. Sure enough, here comes a guy down the aisle and he's got his cell phone out like this. And he immediately stopped and turned around and left the aisle when he realized that when he went to stand next to us, he was standing in front of tampons. We had another girl. She camped in front of our house for like a couple days in a van and then came to the door and served my mom's papers to subpoena her to court. Like, they were camping in front of our house. I thought that was something that was in movies. I didn't think that was a real thing. But apparently it is. And this company hires private investigators to do it. So this, let me look at my notes. Because like I said, I'm sure you guys didn't realize this was going to turn into a Lifetime movie. A bad Lifetime movie. It is. It's real. It's my life. And it's crazy. It sounds really crazy. And I thought these were things that were in TV shows or movies. I didn't think that companies that had billions of dollars really hired people to go around and intimidate people. Especially people who are hurt and ill and just trying to get better. Let me check my notes, you guys. I think I'm gonna stop the video there. We're gonna stop here for tonight. This has been hard. But this is everything that led up until the court case. Until we had court. And like I said, this was 2011 to 2014. My court trial was in the spring of 2014. And that's an entire, I think that's what we'll talk about next week, or the next time I'm able to do this, but that's the next time we'll talk about the court case and everything that happened to me. So this will be part 2 of my lawsuit story. But yeah, this is part 1, and then we'll do part 2, but that's everything. I just kind of want to explain, because when I got hurt and falling with my chronic pain, there's more to it. There's more emotional things to it than just I got hurt, I have this chronic pain. I feel like for me it's a lot more complex because my pain was caused by something that I never got justice for. As I said before, I lost that lawsuit, so next time we talk about this, you're gonna find out about how that was and yeah, that's a warning too. If you don't want to see that, if you don't want to hear a story like that, you don't have to watch it. And we'll have something else funny maybe to talk about the following week, but it's kind of what I'm going for with, you know, raw sushi, is just sharing me, sharing emotions, just sharing, and raw and uncut, and that's kind of where we're going. But so yeah, this is part 1 of my lawsuit story, and I just wanted you guys to get a feel for a little bit about who I am, and, you know, some of what I go through and my triggers, what some things, you know, trigger me, just like an ad, a commercial ad, or, you know, I'm having a really bad pain day, and one of their ads come up on TV, and it just sucks the air out of the room and wakes me back up to realizing what happened. I feel like for a long time after that court case ended, I spent a lot of time trying not to think about what happened to me, because it was just so encompassing. It was everywhere in my life, and I'm starting now to try and open up and talk about all those things, because I'm not the only one who goes through them, and it's something would be good for me to share instead of bottling up inside. And it makes me stronger to be able to share these things with you. I feel like it's a way of me saying, it's like a way of overcoming it somehow, you know, getting over the hump, you know. So that's part 1 of my lawsuit story, and yeah, I know this is really long, but that's what sushi is, really, weekly sushi. So I don't know if I forgot anything. If I did, maybe we'll talk about it next week. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys and what you do for me. You give me a purpose, and I love you with all my heart. So as always, I'm sending lots of love to all the haters and the lovers, because we're all human, and if we don't get love as humans, we die. So I love you. I'll see you next week. Mwah, mwah. Mwah.